Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you were challenged by a harsh remark, a provocative glance, or an unreasonable action from someone? Instantly, your body tenses up, your heartbeat quickens, and anger flares up like a raging fire. You react immediately when sharp words are spoken, hasty decisions are made, and in the end, you feel exhausted and regretful. Do you see yourself in this scenario? If so, you are not alone. Impulsive reactions give power to external circumstances. When we lose control of our emotions, we place ourselves under the dominance of the world around us. Stress, anxiety, and regret are the price we pay when emotions dictate our actions. On the other hand, calmness is strength. When you learn to control your breath, remain silent at the right moment, and think strategically, you reclaim control. You are no longer a puppet of circumstances, but the master of your own life. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. In this video, I want to explore with you the workings of the mind, where willpower, emotions, and intellect intersect. Renewing the mind is not something that happens automatically. It requires consistent practice. And my friend, that is the path to true freedom. 1. The mind is controlled by emotions. Each of us carries within ourselves a silent battle between reason and emotion. It is an inevitable confrontation where reason strives to guide us in the right direction, yet emotions are always ready to stir, disrupt, and sometimes lead us to act impulsively. This battle is an inherent part of being human, but the key is learning how to control it. Spontaneous reactions and actions taken without prior thought often stem from emotions rather than rationality. Imagine a common situation in daily life. You are walking down the street, and suddenly, a stranger bumps into you without apologizing. Instantly, a surge of anger rises within you. You might be tempted to lash out, yell, or even start a confrontation. But if you step back and analyze the situation from a different perspective, you will realize that your anger dictated your reaction, not your reason. At that moment, your rational mind could have warned you that confronting a stranger in this situation brings no benefit, only more tension and potential harm to yourself. In Stoic philosophy, this concept is well understood. The philosopher Epictetus once said, "We are not disturbed by what happens to us, but by our thoughts about what happens to us." This statement emphasizes that emotions often arise from uncontrolled thoughts in our minds. If we allow negative emotions to dominate, we lose control over ourselves and act in ways we might later regret. To illustrate this further, consider the story of Mike. One evening, while dining with his family, he overhears his sister making a negative remark about a decision he recently made. Instantly, he feels hurt and angered. His emotions urge him to retaliate, to defend his pride with sharp words. However, instead of reacting impulsively, Mike recalls the Stoic lessons he has studied. He chooses to remain silent, takes a deep breath, and gives himself a moment to reflect. In the end, he realizes that an immediate reaction would only escalate the tension, whereas staying calm is the best way to preserve his family relationship. Through patience and emotional control, Mike demonstrates true inner strength. Mastering emotions before they master you is a crucial lesson in Stoicism. To gain self-mastery, you must become aware of your emotions and refuse to let them dictate your actions. When you take control of your emotions, you will find that you can respond to any situation with calmness, clarity, and confidence. Of course, This is not easy. But think about a person who remains composed in all situations, someone who does not easily succumb to provocation, who faces difficulties without losing self-control. These are individuals who have trained themselves to elevate reason above emotion, refusing to be drawn into impulsive reactions. This means you must work on yourself, practicing emotional control daily. Each time you encounter a stressful situation, instead of reacting immediately, ask yourself, if I were not ruled by emotion, how would I respond? The answer that emerges from your rational mind will always be a calm and wise response, far better than an impulsive and reckless reaction. Once you learn to master your emotions, you will experience real power. No longer a puppet of fleeting emotions, you become the one in control. Self-respect and self-discipline will become integral parts of your life, allowing you to maintain composure even in the most challenging circumstances and ensuring that you remain steadfast no matter what life throws your way. 2. The power of silence. In today's fast-paced world, silence is often overlooked. However, it holds profound spiritual and psychological power. Silence is not merely the absence of sound. It is an intentional pause that allows inner reflection and wisdom to emerge. In spiritual traditions, silence is revered as a tool for self-discovery, mindfulness, and clarity. But what is the true power of silence, and how can we harness it in our busy lives? Silence is not just a physical state. It is an art that confident and resilient individuals have mastered, making it an integral part of their lives. Those who possess true confidence do not need to speak excessively. They do not need to be loud to assert their presence. Their actions, their presence, and their quiet demeanor are the most powerful elements they bring to any situation. A confident person uses silence to create an impact without uttering a word. When they remain silent, their silence carries weight, a strength filled with self-respect and patience. This very silence commands attention, sometimes even unsettling others as they wonder what might be hidden beneath it. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Seneca. Seneca's words highlight an essential truth. The fears and anxieties we experience are often products of our imagination rather than actual reality. Silence in tense situations, especially in arguments or negotiations, can generate immense psychological pressure. When you do not rush to respond, you not only maintain your composure, but also make the other party uneasy, forcing them to rethink their words and actions. Silence compels them to confront themselves and their statements, creating space for the truth to surface. This is a highly effective strategy for maintaining power and control in a conversation. Silence in arguments or communication is also an opportunity to practice active listening. Instead of merely waiting for your turn to respond, you focus on every word the other person says, gaining deeper insight into their true motivations. When you listen without distraction, you can detect their anxieties, intentions, or even insecurities in their words. This allows you to respond with greater wisdom rather than reacting impulsively. A remarkable real-world example of the power of silence in creating change is Mahatma Gandhi. During India's struggle for independence, Gandhi used silence and patience not just as a psychological strategy, but as a powerful method to force his opponents to reconsider their actions. One of his most memorable moments was his leadership in non-violent resistance against British colonial rule. In many tense situations, instead of reacting immediately, he chose silence, refusing to engage with provocations or oppressive measures. When imprisoned, rather than resisting violently, Gandhi remained silent and upheld his patience. This not only confused his adversaries, but also made the public and those around him reflect on his dignity and the true purpose of the movement. His silence was not a sign of retreat or surrender. It was a powerful message of resilience and unwavering belief in his cause. For Gandhi, silence was a tool to apply pressure, forcing his opponents to confront his steadfastness and question their own actions. In moments like these, Gandhi proved that silence, when used correctly, could wield immense power and drive significant societal change. Silence is a skill we can cultivate and develop, offering us the strength to rise above emotions, control situations, and safeguard our dignity. By maintaining silence in stressful situations, you not only protect yourself, but also create space for wisdom and clarity to grow. And this leads to the next question. How can we control our emotions in challenging situations? Let's explore the science of emotional control in the next section. 3. The science of emotion control. Have you ever wondered where your emotions come from? Or have you ever cried because your emotions changed unpredictably? Why do you feel happy when you see your loved ones, but sad when you hear news of a tragedy? Would you be surprised to know that there is a lot of science behind our emotions? Keep reading to discover how our brain and body work together to create emotions. Emotions are not something distant or hard to understand. In fact, they have been present since we were born. Every emotion, whether joy, sadness, fear, or anger, has a deep origin in our brain. Emotions are not just immediate reactions, they are closely linked to our decisions, behaviors, and thoughts. Remarkably, almost every aspect of our behavior, thoughts, and decisions is tightly connected to emotions, whether or not we are consciously aware of them. Therefore, understanding how emotions are formed and how they influence our lives is a crucial step in controlling and leveraging them effectively. When emotions arise, our body not only responds by expressing outwardly, but also triggers a series of reactions inside our brain. One of the important regions of the brain that processes emotions is the amygdala, often referred to as the emotional processing center. The amygdala plays a critical role in detecting threats and triggering the fight or flight response. This physiological reaction has existed since the dawn of human evolution, helping us deal with danger in our environment. However, in modern life, we do not always face direct threats as our ancestors did. Stressful situations, anger, or frustration at work or in relationships are the threats that the amygdala processes. And sometimes, these reactions are not wise responses, but automatic reactions that lack thought. So how can we control these automatic reactions and instead respond thoughtfully, reasonably, and calmly? The answer lies in activating the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for reasoning, planning, and making thoughtful decisions. When we encounter stressful situations, deep breathing can activate the prefrontal cortex, helping us maintain calm instead of letting the amygdala control our actions. Breathing techniques, such as 4-4-6 breathing or box breathing, have been proven to be extremely effective in helping the brain shift from a reactive state to a thoughtful response. The 4-4-6 breathing technique is simple yet powerful. You just need to inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, and exhale for 6 seconds. Doing this signals the brain to reduce stress, creating clarity and helping you think more clearly. Box breathing, a technique used by Navy SEALs, is similar to 4-4-6 breathing, but each phase of the breath lasts for 4 seconds. This helps the body absorb oxygen better, reduce stress, and stay calm even in emergency situations. Thus, mastering emotions is not only achievable, but also a crucial skill in everyday life. Emotions are not something uncontrollable. They can be regulated when you know how to influence your brain and body. When we learn to breathe and create a quiet space in our minds, we will experience peace and self-respect, helping us respond wisely and confidently. Share your thoughts on how you control your emotions in stressful situations. Do you use any breathing techniques to maintain calmness? Comment below. 4. Master your fear. Fear is not a true opponent, but merely a product of the mind. In reality, when we face what we fear, it is rarely an actual threat. Fear often stems from thoughts about what has not yet happened or from imaginary possibilities. This is how our mind manipulates us, making us feel as though we are confronting great dangers when, in truth, they are just illusions. The Stoic philosopher Seneca once said, "We suffer more in our imagination than in reality." This quote reminds us that fear is merely an exaggeration of the mind, not an unavoidable reality. Therefore, instead of viewing fear as an enemy, we should shift our perspective and see it as a challenge to overcome. When we stop and confront it, we realize it is not an insurmountable wall. In fact, fear is an opportunity for growth and self-discovery. Consider a soldier standing on the battlefield not because he does not feel fear, but because he has learned to accept it and act despite it. This is precisely how Stoicism teaches us about courage. It is not the absence of fear, but the ability to take action in spite of it. Imagine sitting across from an interviewer, their sharp eyes scrutinizing every detail. Each question feels like a test you must face. In that moment, fear begins to escalate. You feel your chest tighten, your mind spinning with negative thoughts. Am I good enough? What if I answer incorrectly? Could this be my last opportunity? Each question crashes over you like a wave, making you hesitate and doubt your own abilities. However, if you choose not to let fear control you, something remarkable happens. When you take a deep breath and start seeing fear as an essential part of growth, you feel a sense of relief. Fear is no longer an enemy, but a signal urging you to prepare better, focus on your responses, and remain undistracted. In that moment, staying calm helps you take control of the situation and exude confidence even if nervousness lingers inside. When you confront fear and act despite discomfort, you realize that you can overcome any challenge. Not because you lack fear, but because you choose to step through it in order to grow. While it is easy to fall into the trap of fear, it is crucial to remember that acting despite fear is the only way forward. Every time you face fear and conquer it, you achieve not only a small victory, but also reinforce your inner confidence and strength. True composure is power, not the absence of fear, but the ability to continue moving forward even when fear is present. And through this, every challenge becomes an opportunity, and each step through fear brings you closer to true freedom and success. 5. Strategies for handling conflict and arguments. When facing conflicts or debates, winning is not always the most important goal. In fact, a higher objective is the ability to control the conversation. In tense moments, when words can shatter like sharp glass shards, staying calm becomes an immense advantage. Not only does this help you maintain your stance, but it also forces the other person to reconsider their words. Remember, those who lose control are more likely to say things they will later regret. However, There is a simple, yet highly effective strategy. Do not argue directly. A debate does not always have to be a battle. Instead, it is an opportunity to stand firm in your position without resorting to verbal force. Maintaining composure and emotional control is a demonstration of self-respect and inner strength, making the other person question whether they truly understand the issue at hand. So, consider asking instead of directly countering. A question like, "Can you clarify that further?" not only shows respect for the other person's viewpoint, but also encourages them to rethink what they just said. Sometimes, a simple question can make someone realize their argument is not as solid as they thought. This is a smart tactic, one that does not feel confrontational or aggressive, yet leads to a more thoughtful conversation. Another powerful strategy is repeating the other person's perspective. When you say, "If I understand correctly," you mean. You are not only confirming their words, but also demonstrating that you are truly listening and engaging with their argument. Often, this makes them pause and reconsider their stance, as they see you are responding thoughtfully rather than emotionally. Finally, silence is an incredibly powerful tactic. After stating your point, remain silent. Do not rush to add anything else. In these moments, silence carries an invisible strength, compelling the other person to reflect on their own words. You do not need to win the argument. You simply need to hold your ground and let the other person realize they may have gone too far. Silence is not weakness. It is an extraordinary form of emotional control that helps you maintain your dignity while prompting the other person to reassess themselves. These strategies are more than just communication techniques. They are expressions of inner strength. When we stay calm and do not let emotions dictate our reactions, we not only preserve our dignity, but also strengthen our ability to control our emotions. This is the essence of Stoicism, learning to live with tranquility, unaffected by the storms of conflict. Before we move on to the next topic, may I ask you for a small favor? If you're enjoying what you've learned so far, and it has brought even a slight smile to your face, go ahead and hit the like button. And hey, if you haven't already, subscribe too. Why? Because when you like and subscribe, you're telling YouTube, "Hey, this content is amazing," and that helps spread these positive insights to more people who might need them, just like you. So, let's share the joy and ensure that more people can join us on this journey of self-improvement and positivity. 6. Turn suffering into strength. Pain, whether physical or emotional, is an inevitable part of life. However, there is an interesting truth that few realize. Pain can either break us or, if we learn to perceive it correctly, become a driving force that makes us stronger. When facing hardships, if we allow ourselves to be consumed by sorrow and helplessness, pain only becomes a heavier burden. But if we shift our perspective and approach it as an opportunity for growth, pain can transform into a powerful force that propels us forward. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" the question often asked by those who feel life is unfair, we should replace it with a more constructive question: "What can I learn from this?" Resilient individuals always extract lessons from adversity, whether it's patience, emotional control, or a deeper understanding of themselves. They do not let pain invade their minds. Instead, they use it to strengthen their spirit, refusing to be victims and choosing instead to become the masters of their own fate. Everyone knows Thomas Edison, the inventor of the electric light bulb. He was not someone who avoided failure. Rather, he was someone who knew how to use failure to achieve success. Throughout his journey to perfect the light bulb, Edison encountered over 1,000 failed attempts. Yet, instead of despairing, he saw each failure as a valuable lesson. When asked about his failures, he famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." This attitude embodies the essence of Stoicism, one that we can all learn from. Hardships, challenges, and pain are not obstacles to be feared, but opportunities for growth. From a Stoic perspective, pain is something that can lead to self-mastery and inner strength if we accept and confront it with equanimity. The philosopher Marcus Aurelius once said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This profound lesson teaches us how to transform obstacles into opportunities. What seems to hinder us is, in reality, a stepping stone that helps us rise. In difficult moments, instead of reacting impulsively with anger or frustration, a Stoic practitioner knows how to remain calm, take a deep breath, and think before acting. They understand that calmness is not a weakness, but a hidden strength, one that allows them to control their emotions and find the right course of action in every situation. They do not let pain control them. Instead, they harness pain to build resilience. This does not mean we must suppress our emotions. In fact, recognizing and accepting pain is the first step to overcoming it. But rather than letting pain dictate our actions, we can use it for growth. Successful people are not those who avoid failure, but those who turn failure and pain into valuable lessons that bring them closer to their goals. So, when faced with pain, never ask, "Why is this happening to me?" Instead, ask, "What can I learn from this?" By doing so, you not only transform suffering into strength, but also train yourself to become more resilient and powerful in every aspect of life. 7. Warrior's mindset. We often find ourselves in situations that disrupt our emotions. A criticism, an argument, or an unexpected difficulty can easily make us lose control. However, to truly become a warrior in life, we must cultivate the ability to remain calm like a warrior standing firm in the storm. This is not indifference or apathy, but the mastery of our emotions and reactions. When we control our minds, emotions will not dominate us. Instead, we will act with thought and wisdom. One of the most essential skills for achieving this is breath control. When we feel stressed, angry, or anxious, our breathing becomes shallow and rapid. However, regulating our breath not only helps us regain calmness, but also enables us to manage our emotions, bringing clarity to our minds. Staying calm is not just about suppressing reactions, it is the ability to observe and reflect before taking action. When we do not let emotions take over, we can assess situations more objectively and make wiser decisions. In fact, one of the core principles of Stoicism is emotional self-discipline. Great Stoic warriors like Marcus Aurelius taught that true strength does not come from controlling external circumstances, but from mastering oneself. When faced with any situation, they did not react emotionally, but responded with reason. Applying this mindset in daily life is not difficult, but it requires persistence and discipline. Every day, take a moment of silence for yourself, turn off your phone, and step away from the noise of social media. This not only restores inner peace, but also helps you recharge to face future challenges. Instead of worrying about the past or the future, focus on the present moment. Only when you live fully in the now can you experience true peace. Finally, never shy away from difficulties. A warrior is not someone who avoids challenges, but someone who seeks to overcome them. Facing hardship strengthens resilience, fosters growth, and builds confidence in our abilities. With every obstacle you conquer, you become stronger. Calmness is power. It is not an easy trait to acquire, but if you practice daily, if you learn to restrain your emotions and avoid impulsive reactions, you will develop incredible inner strength. When your mind is strong, you can face any challenge in life without ever losing your composure or self-respect. Try practicing this today and share your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever encountered a stressful situation and chosen to remain calm? Let me know your story. 8. Control anger to maintain calm. Anger is a natural emotion that every one of us can experience. It is not the main problem. Rather, how we handle it determines the outcome. If you let anger take control, you will find yourself caught in a vicious cycle where emotions dictate actions, and the results are rarely what you desire. But what if you could master this emotion? Could you remain calm and composed even in the most stressful situations? The answer is yes, it is entirely possible. To achieve this, the first step is understanding that emotions, including anger, typically last only about 90 seconds. This is a simple yet incredibly powerful rule. In just 90 seconds, emotions arise, peak, and then subside. However, if you keep feeding them rather than letting them pass naturally, they will linger, influencing your thoughts and actions. That is why the first step to controlling anger is being aware of this time frame. Remind yourself, this feeling will pass soon. This awareness is crucial to preventing anger from taking root. Next, you must learn to detach yourself from insults and criticism. Most of the words or actions that provoke your anger are not truly directed at you. They are often the result of someone else's emotions, insecurities, or dissatisfaction. When you recognize this, you will stop taking things personally. You will realize that criticism or offensive actions are not direct attacks on your self-worth, but rather inevitable reactions from the external world. Instead of responding immediately, you will develop the ability to stay composed and avoid unnecessary conflicts. One of the most powerful ways to shift your response to anger is by changing your internal dialogue. Instead of thinking, "How dare they do this to me?" ask yourself, "Is this really worth losing my composure over?" By changing the way you approach the situation and reframing your inner language, you will notice a shift in how you manage emotions. This simple question not only forces you to pause and reflect, but also creates space between the trigger and your response. It gives you the time to take control, allowing you to decide whether the situation is even worth a reaction. Calmness and emotional control are not innate abilities, but learned skills that can be practiced and strengthened over time. And this practice is not complicated. It is a series of small actions, being aware of emotions, reshaping your thoughts, and distancing yourself from criticism. These simple yet effective steps will not only help you handle anger better, but also allow you to maintain composure in all situations. And this very composure is the true strength that Stoicism teaches us. Maintaining silence and emotional control can be challenging, but once you recognize the power of composure, you will understand that silence is not a weakness. It is a strategic tool for protecting your inner peace and self-respect. Stay with us, because in the final part, we will explore how to apply silence in everyday life and how it can be a powerful tool for maintaining composure in the most difficult situations. Let's dive into how you can incorporate this into every moment of your life to create a real transformation. 9. Application of silence in daily life. In Stoic philosophy, silence is considered a powerful tool for maintaining composure and preserving self-respect in tense situations. Seneca, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, once said, "Silence is a lesson learned from the many sufferings of life." This quote emphasizes that silence is not merely a choice, but a profound lesson in life, helping us listen to ourselves and the world around us. To apply silence in daily life, the first step is to reduce exposure to negative information. Media channels, social networks, and individuals who constantly complain can keep your mind in a state of perpetual tension. Consuming excessive negative news can cloud your ability to think clearly and make you prone to impulsive reactions rather than thoughtful decisions. In fact, studies have shown that reducing exposure to negative news enhances happiness and decreases anxiety. By choosing silence and distancing yourself from these sources, your mind gains the space needed to think clearly and respond with greater calmness. Along with minimizing exposure to negativity, another powerful method to practice silence is to spend at least 10 minutes a day in complete stillness. During this time, you can sit quietly, focus on your breath, and let your thoughts pass without interference. This silence not only soothes the mind, but also strengthens emotional control and self-awareness. Imagine sitting in a quiet room, with no sounds except for the rhythm of your own breathing. That feeling can help you realize that in silence, you don't have to do anything. You simply have to be yourself. It is in these moments that inner strength is nurtured and calmness becomes a natural response. One of the most valuable lessons silence teaches is the ability to speak less and listen more. In conversations, speaking less but with depth can have a far greater impact. Often, hastily spoken words only add to tension and bring no real value. However, if you master the art of silence, listening attentively and speaking only when necessary, your words will carry more weight. A great example of this is Warren Buffett, known for his wisdom and exceptional investment skills. He once shared, "The most important investment you can make is in yourself." Buffett never rushes to voice his opinion in meetings. Instead, he listens, reflects, and only speaks when he has something truly valuable to contribute. His silence allows him to gain deeper insights and make well-informed decisions. Similarly, in daily life, we must learn to remain silent in difficult situations rather than reacting immediately. These moments of silence grant us control over our emotions, helping us stay composed and make better choices. Ultimately, silence in life is not just about stopping speech. It is about self-discipline and thinking before acting. Silence brings strength not only in conversations, but also in stressful situations, allowing you to maintain composure and self-respect. In life, we cannot control every situation, but we can fully control how we respond. As Stoic philosophy teaches, calmness is true strength. When you learn to respond thoughtfully instead of reacting impulsively, you not only protect yourself, but also affirm your self-respect and sense of control. This not only helps you handle stressful situations, but also contributes to building inner peace. Have you ever experienced a situation where silence and emotional control helped you prevail? Share your story in the comments below. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss future content. Stay tuned and watch the next video coming up.